Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews presented by Quantum Podcasts. As always, I'll be your host, Chris, and this is the show about all things movies and TV. Well, we finally got to the movie that I've been waiting for so long since we started this marathon. Spider-Man No Way Home is our featured film of today's episode as we journey through the MCU in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, which is only 6 months away. We're at the halfway of the year. It's super exciting. We have a lot more projects to cover, but Spider-Man No Way Home is the one that I've been waiting to do the most. We briefly talked about it. Actually, when this podcast started, we did episodes for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You can go check out those in the archives of the show, but we are now dedicating an entire episode for No Way Home, and I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It's my favorite Marvel. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie ever. We changed the ranking of the MCU as well. This was sitting at number 2 on the MCU rankings. I want to spoil this. It is now at number 1 after this reviewing, and it's going to stay at number 1 for probably ever. We'll see how Spider-Man Brand New Day holds up to the rest of the Spider-Man lore as well as the MCU, but Spider-Man No Way Home has taken the top spot in the MCU ranking. I already spoiled it, but I just had a blast watching this movie again for like the 20th time in preparation for today's episode. It's just such a fun movie. It's a heartbreaking movie. There's so much in there: romance, action, comedy. It's the perfect movie. It's the perfect comic book movie, and I'm just super excited about today's episode. But before we jump into No Way Home, we do have a couple of items to talk about. First, in news and reactions, we have a piece of news that just broke a few days ago about the Lord of the Rings franchise. And then we also have a reaction to Steven Spielberg's newest film, Disclosure Day, which I had a blast watching. It's a must-see. You need to go watch it. It is freaking awesome. So we'll talk about that as well. Before we dive into all that, though, a couple reminders at the top of the episode. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/the Cinematic Reviews. You can also listen to the audio version on whichever podcast you deem worthy. We are around the world, so you can find us anywhere. Just search for Cinematic Reviews, and you can find the show there. Video version is on Spotify as well as YouTube, so a couple of different places to watch the show, but feel free to listen to the episode if you are not able to. Also, check us out on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. We're all over the place on social media. Post all the graphics from every episode, news, announcements, posters, trailers, all sorts of different things. There's a new Brand New Day trailer that just dropped yesterday or 2 days ago, so I'll post that on the pages as well. Check out the official website of the podcast, cinematic-reviews.com, where you can set up a profile and you can rank movies like Spider-Man No Way Home with the awesome popcorn rating that I use on the podcast. You can check out the villain scales. You can check out rankings of different franchises and directors and actors that I've done, and you can do it yourself. So you can set up a profile and rank universes like the MCU. You can rank Tom Holland's top 5 films if you wish. There's so much to do on the website. You can test your knowledge with trivia games. So much to do and so much more coming in the future. It's an awesome site, so go ahead, set up a profile, and have some fun with it. I think that covers everything, so let's jump into news and reactions for today. So it was just announced that Anya Taylor-Joy will be playing an elf in the Lord of the Rings The Hunt for Gollum film that is set to release in theaters on December 17th, 2027. She'll join Andy Serkis, who will be returning to the franchise, as well as Sir Ian McKellen in their roles as Gollum and Gandalf, respectively. So she is joining the Lord of the Rings franchise. So we'll check out Hunt for Gollum next year in December. That'll be the new project in the Lord of the Rings franchise. Also, I think Rings of Power is coming up as well. So we got a few Lord of the Rings related items coming up here shortly. But Anya Taylor-Joy has now added another franchise to her belt. Now we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg's newest film, Disclosure Day. If you're not sure what the heck I'm talking about, Steven Spielberg made yet another Alien film. This one is centered around a secret government organization that has been keeping archive footage of aliens visiting Earth. And a group of researcher, data analysts, whatever you want to call them, have decided to come together and steal that data so that they can disclose it to the world, hence the name Disclosure Day. This is the day that a group of researchers and analysts disclose to Earth that aliens do exist. This film is incredible. I was super excited about it, but after watching it, it blew my expectations out of the water. Steven Spielberg has outdone himself. This is one of his best films in the last couple decades. This could be easily one of his top 5 films of all time. It is such a incredible story. It's so well made. The footage that we see of the aliens coming to Earth are so real. It looks like that could have been footage straight from the government itself. It left me speechless at the end. It made me happy. It made me sad. I may or may not have gotten a touch of dust in my eye at the end. It is an incredible film. You should all go see this, especially if you're a Steven Spielberg fan. If you're a fan of the alien genre, you definitely need to go watch this. It's a really awesome take on something that we've been asking ourselves this entire time. Like, does the government have actual footage, and why aren't they showing it to us? But not only that, not only does it answer the question, are we alone in the universe? It also talks about and answers the question, do we want to know, or should we even know that we are not the only ones in the universe? Like, what would that do to mankind's psyche? What would that do to our belief as humanity as itself? It would change, like they say in the movie, it would change religion. It would change the way people see the universe or in God. And it's such an incredible movie and such an interesting topic to touch on, and Steven Spielberg has outdone himself. This is another masterpiece under his belt, and I can't wait to own this and add it to my Steven Spielberg collection, add it to my Alien collection, and just binge the crap out of this. It's such an interesting take too, where in the trailers you see that the animals have something to do with it. Well, it's really cool how Steven Spielberg incorporates these animals as a way of camouflage for the aliens. That's how they get people's attention, especially kids, like Margaret, who's played by Emily Blunt when she was 9-10 years old. That was how they were able to kind of lure the children into their ship, their lair, whatever you want to call it. And I essentially download all this stuff into their brains. Her and Dr. Daniel Kellner, played by Josh O'Connor, they were 2 of the many people that were quote unquote abducted by these aliens and tested on. They start to develop these different, I don't want to say superpowers, but talents that have been unlocked within their brain. Like Emily Blunt is able to understand any language on the planet as if it's English. And she even says that herself, that you don't understand what the others are talking about. It's clear as day. It's clear English to me. It's because her brain has been wired to be able to translate languages automatically. And so has Daniel Kellner, who is able to do the same thing and understand all these different languages, including the alien language that we get introduced to. It's really fascinating. Emily Blunt, this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite roles of hers. She has outdone herself. If she does not get a nomination for the Best Actress Oscar this year, it will be a travesty. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Josh O'Connor gets a supporting actor nom for this movie. He was fantastic as well. Colin Firth as Noah, the director of this secret organization. He's great in here as well. Coleman Domingo is in here. This is the year of Coleman Domingo. He plays Hugo in here, one of the analysts that recruits Kellner to disclose all this footage to the world. Wyatt Russell, who has, speaking of MCU, has made his appearance in the MCU. He plays Emily Blunt's boyfriend in here. It's got an incredible cast, incredible story, incredible writing, music, special effects. It's just got everything. looking at the box office here real quick, it had a budget of about 115 million, and so far it has made over 120 million. So pretty strong numbers here. It came out back in, I think it was June 12th, so about a week now, and it's already made 120 million. This is, like I said, a masterpiece by Steven Spielberg. It's one of his best movies. For the popcorn rating, I'm giving it the golden popcorn. I already disclosed this. See what I did there? On social media that I did give this the golden popcorn tier, and it earns it. This is going to be in consideration for movie of the year. It's definitely going to be in top 5 movies of the year for sure for 2026. I'm super excited about this movie. Super excited for Steven Spielberg to remind everybody that he is the master at this, especially the alien genre. He just has a natural talent and obviously a big interest in this topic, and he outdid himself. Bravo to Steven Spielberg, Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, and everybody else involved with this movie. It was fantastic. Go ahead and check out Disclosure Day today in theaters. It'll end up on some kind of streaming service eventually, but you need to see this in theaters, loudspeakers, largest screen possible. Get a big bucket of popcorn, get a soda, and just be disclosed by Spielberg on whether we are alone in the universe, and should we know that we are alone or not alone in the universe. So check out Disclosure Day today. It is an awesome movie. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into Spider-Man No Way Home. This episode is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Still drinking energy that quits before you do? Stop crashing, stop shaking, and start performing. Meet Dubby Energy, clean energy made for gamers, creators, and anyone who refuses to slow down. With zero sugar, no jitters, and no crash, Dubby keeps you locked in whether you're grinding ranked, streaming for hours, or pushing through those late nights. There's no crash, no fade, just gas. Drink different, perform better. Grab Dubby Energy and use code Cinematic10 to get 10% off your order today.
When you botched that spell where you wanted everyone to forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, we started getting some visitors. From every universe.
Hello, Peter. You're not Peter Parker.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
There are others out there. We need to send them back. So, Scooby-Doo this crap.
You know, all this is kind of your mess. I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Please, Scooby-Doo this crap.
You're flying out into the darkness to fight ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate. I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah, me too.
Don't.
Look, there has to be another way.
There isn't. They're a danger to our universe.
You're not gonna take this away from me. Peter, you're struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
So Spider-Man No Way Home was released on December 17th, 2021. It had a budget of about $200 million, which is one of the most higher end side of a comic book movie budget. and then it grossed $1.9 billion worldwide at his entire box office run. So just slightly under $2 billion. It's a shame that they couldn't get that there. But 1.9 is still really, really good, even for a standalone Spider-Man movie. Fun fact, the film became Sony's highest grossing film in history. The film earned $1.6 billion in just its first 11 days at the box office. This was a monster hit. And as soon as word got out that Garfield and Tobey Maguire were in this movie, it drew even more people to the theaters and just skyrocketed those ticket sales. But bravo to Spider-Man No Way Home on being one of the highest grossing comic book movies ever and being Sony's highest grossing film in history. What a wild box office run, and now we get to own it and watch it forever. I've seen it at least 15 plus times already, and I'm going to watch it 15 more times because it's such an incredible movie. If you haven't seen No Way Home in a while, it takes place directly after the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. At the end of Far From Home, we saw Peter, swinging around with MJ, and Mysterio pops up on the screen via the Daily Bugle from J.K. Simmons, J.J. Jonas Jameson, and he reveals to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Well, this sets a chaotic chain of events where the world now knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. The FBI is after him. Everyone wants a picture of him. News outlets. They want him arrested for murder, for murdering Mysterio. So you have all the Mysterio truthers out there. It's such a chaotic mess, which drives Peter to go find Doctor Strange and whip up a spell that will reverse the effects of Mysterio telling the world that Peter is Spider-Man. So, and the spell gets out of control, splitting a big giant hole into the multiverse and letting some of the different characters from multiple universes come into this MCU version of the Sacred Timeline, if I remember right, is what it's called. This play takes place in between the summer and winter months of 2024. And if I believe right, Spider-Man Brand New Day is 4 years after this movie. So Brand New Day will be taking place in 2028. So we are starting to catch up a little bit to the year of the MCU. If you remember, they did a time jump of 5 years during Endgame because of the blip. But now we are starting to close that gap even more to our current year, 2026. Now we're only a couple years away with Brand New Day in 2028. So that's pretty cool. Such a massive cast here. So I'm just going to kind of blaze through these and then we'll start picking out certain ones here. So Peter Parker, Spider-Man, played once again by Tom Holland. Fantastic. He is my favorite Spider-Man for sure. Then we have Peter 2, played by Tobey Maguire. And then Peter 3, played by Andrew Garfield, who gets sucked into Tom Holland's universe and help him out with returning all of the villains from every universe back to where they belong. MJ is once again played by Zendaya. She is great in here. You get to really see the relationship grow between her and Peter. But unfortunately, in order to save the multiverse, Peter has Doctor Strange forget that Peter Parker ever existed, so he is forced to, quote-unquote, break up his girlfriend via spell, and at the end decides not to tell her. I wonder if Brand New Day is going to have a scene in there where he finally tells MJ who he is and their history, and I wonder if she'll have a moment where it'll break the spell and she remembers everything, or they start dating like it's their first date again. I'm really curious to see how Brand New Day tackles the MJ Peter relationship specifically, because that was such a huge part of this movie on showing how their love for each other has grown and having Peter make the ultimate sacrifice to essentially, like I said, break up with his girlfriend in order to save the multiverse. So really curious to see what they do with MJ in the new movie. Ned returns, played by Jacob Batalon. Great casting for Ned. I've loved him for all these Spider-Man movies so far. You know, the guy in the chair. Now he's kind of figured out that he might have some mystical arts ability to where he's able to conjure portals like Doctor Strange. So maybe we'll tap into that a little bit more. Doctor Strange, played once again by Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a new kind of mentor to Peter. We'll talk about mentors here. We talked about it last time on the Hawkeye episode. So Benedict's been kind of just like a mentor to Peter now, similar to how Iron Man was. And it looks like Bruce Banner will be for Peter in Brand New Day. So that's pretty cool that he's starting to interact with different Avengers in his solo films. Aunt May, played again by Marissa Tomei, who unfortunately bites the dust in here, and we will talk about that scene quite a bit because that is such a gut-wrenching scene. But Marissa Tomei, absolutely love her as Aunt May. Happy Hogan returns as Jon Favreau, who I wish would return more. I wish he was in more of these Marvel projects, but he seems to only be attached to the Spider-Man franchise, which makes sense. You know, Iron Man was Peter's mentor. Happy was his best friend. But I would love to see Jon Favreau hop back into the Happy Hogan character and just be the connecting character like Agent Coulson was. I think he's only been in Deadpool and Wolverine for a split second after this one, so he really hasn't been in anything. I know he's busy directing and creating stuff for Star Wars, but I mean, even if it's just like a 2-minute cameo in a Shang-Chi movie, like I wish Happy Hogan was in the universe more because I love Jon Favreau as an actor, and I love him as a director too, but he was first an actor and he's great. Matt Murdock joins the Spider-Man part of the MCU, played once again by Charlie Cox. He only plays Matt Murdock in here, but I hope, if you remember what my theory was in the Daredevil Born Again episode, that if they want to bring back Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock in Brand New Day, that jail sequence in the trailer, it looks like Peter might be breaking Matt Murdock out of prison, and we could finally get him dressed up as Daredevil alongside Peter and the Punisher, who seems to be in the movie quite a bit. I remember when they first announced John Bernthal was going to be in Spider-Man, that it was only going to be for a few scenes. The trailers say otherwise. It looks like he's a big part of Brand New Day, which is very exciting because I've been wanting John Bernthal and Tom Holland to interact with each other as Punisher and Spider-Man since they were casted, because if you remember, one of the fun facts was that they trained together for their respective roles. So it's really cool to see. Norman Osborn returns, played by Willem Dafoe. He is the villain of the story. Even though we have multiple villains in there, he is the main villain. So the villain skill today will be centered around Green Goblin. So I won't touch too much on him because I want to save him for the villain scale. But Willem Dafoe, I think this is his best portrayal of the Green Goblin. Not that I didn't like the first Spider-Man movie. He was great in there. He made the Green Goblin iconic from that movie. But he takes everything that he did right with that movie and brings it into No Way Home and just elevated it. The fight between him and Peter in the apartment is one of my favorite scenes in any Spider-Man movie. It's so good. Willem Dafoe is like the master, and I wish we get more of him as Green Goblin. Otto Octavius returns as well, played again by Alfred Molina, if you remember him from Spider-Man 2. He has an interesting arc in this movie where, he gets pulled in from the end of Spider-Man 2, so he's wondering where his machine is, power of the sun in the palm of my hand. And eventually the little chip in the back of his tentacles gets destroyed once again, so then he's Otto Octavius again. But he was great in here. It was great to see Alfred Molina wear the tentacle. Well, technically he didn't wear them because they were CGI, but to see him on screen as Doc Ock is really, really awesome. We also get Max, a.k.a. Electro, played again by Jamie Foxx from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But this time, he's not blue. He is Jamie Foxx, and he gets his iconic yellow lightning, which is perfect. Because he had a lot of issues with being blue in that sequel, and that was one of the stipulations for coming back, was that he will not be blue. I think that's in the fun facts, but I wanted to mention that one. But he was great in here. It was great to see him. It was cool when he, at certain points when he used his lightning, it created the iconic star face mask over his face when he used his lightning at the end of the movie. That was a really nice touch. Flint Marko, aka Sandman, played a game by Thomas Hayden Church from Spider-Man 3. Now, technically, Thomas Hayden Church wasn't in this movie. This was archive footage carried over to this movie because he was not able to reprise his role, but it was cool to see him. And then Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard, from The Amazing Spider-Man. Again, archive footage. They weren't able to get Raffian's back for, or Effens. I can never say his name right. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who played the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. They weren't able to get him back either, so they used archival footage for him as well. And then, of course, J.K. Simmons returns as J. Jonah Jameson in this film. Really awesome. He is the only J. Jonah Jameson. I don't know who the hell is going to play him in the future when J.K. Simmons eventually retires from acting, but he is perfect as Jameson. So that is quite a lengthy cast. You also get other friendly faces like Flash and some other... Benedict Wong shows up. So you do get some familiar faces in there as well. So the Spider-Man saga collides. This was the biggest moment, not just in the Spider-Man saga, but in comic book movies ever. Like, you brought the 3 live-action Spider-Mans together on screen and built this story around it. And it wasn't just a hodgepodge Frankenstein. This story was incredible, the way they wove into all 3 different storylines. And we get to catch up with Toby. You know, he's got a kid. He's married to MJ. It's a little rocky. He went through his dark times as well. But then we really get to catch up with Andrew Garfield, who fans have been screaming at the top of their lungs to get the Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie made so that we can see what happened after Gwen's death. And he touches on it a little bit in here. I wish he would have did more. But he talks about how he got bitter. He got violent. He got angry after the death of Gwen. And he was just a mess. Same thing with Tom Holland when Aunt May dies. He gets bitter. He gets violent. He wants to kill the Green Goblin. And Andrew and Toby have to make him realize that, hey, you have this ultimate power, which means it comes with the responsibility to do the right thing. And he eventually ends up saving Norman Osborn instead of killing him for killing Aunt May. So it was a really cool character arc for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I can't wait to see it carry into Brand New Day. But this was the biggest crossover in history, was putting these 3 Spider-Men on screen together. It was just pure movie magic. There has been rumors that they will appear again in Secret Wars. I know Tobey Maguire is a popular one that he could come back, you know, teaming up with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, which was the plan in the early 2000s, was to team up Spider-Man with the X-Men, but ultimately didn't work out. But we'll see if Garfield or Maguire shows up again. A lot of people want Spider-Man 4 as well, you know, to continue. I would believe that Garfield won more, but I don't think we're going to get sequels to either of those universes. Unfortunately, they have already committed to Tom Holland. They're going to finish off the Spider-Verse movies next year with the trilogy. So I think it's very unlikely that we're going to get a Garfield-Maguire movie again, but I would believe Garfield more than Maguire just because of an age difference. Maguire is getting up there in age, and it would still be a fun movie to watch, but I just don't think it's ideal once they hit a certain age to continue doing this. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. But I do love the redemption arcs for both these guys. So like I said, Garfield got bitter after the death of Gwen. Well, he gets to redeem himself by saving Zendaya and then also saving Max and Dr. Connors in this universe. And then on the flip side, Maguire gets some redemption by saving Norman and Otto. You know, that was a big storyline with him and Harry, was finding out that Spider-Man, well, he thinks Spider-Man killed his dad, but it was actually Norman who killed himself. But yeah, it makes me think what's going to happen with them saving Norman and Otto from dying and converting them over to good guys. Does that storyline with James Franco's Harry happen? Does the new Goblin exist? These are questions that people want answers to, and so they've kind of left things really unanswered. Like Max and Connors, okay, they kind of teased the Sinister Six in the Garfield universe. Well, if they're not villains anymore, how do you create the Sinister Six then? Like, it's interesting to think what these universes look like now after the events of this movie. So it's just a lot of question marks, but it's cool that they get redemption. We get to kind of close the book on the two characters, which was awesome. What is the future of Spider-Man / Peter Parker in the MCU? Well, we got a brand new day coming up. Next month, July 31st. Looks like he is mutating, transforming, rebirthing, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be interesting to see what this mutation is exactly. Is it the symbiote? Is it man spider? Like, there's a bunch of different theories on what is going on with Peter. But it's going to be an awesome movie. Got Punisher in there. Bruce Banner's coming back as the Hulk. We have Sadie Sink's character, who a lot of people think is Jean Grey, but I honestly don't think it is Jean Grey. I think they're going to wait to introduce her when they introduce the rest of the X-Men. So she could be playing a different character. At least that's what I think. I could be totally wrong. It could be Jean Grey. Who knows? But yeah, we're getting the Hand. We're getting a bunch of other different characters. Scorpion's back. He actually gets his suit, and the suit looks pretty dope. Like, it looks pretty awesome, and I really like the suit, at least from the trailers. So I'm excited to see Scorpion in full action mode finally, after being introduced to him in the first Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, post-credit scene. So, and then Doomsday. Peter's gonna show up in Doomsday. We'll see. Well, there's rumors that he won't, but I think he will in some capacity. Brand New Day supposedly goes straight into Doomsday, so maybe something happens to Peter at the end of Brand New Day to where it explains why he won't be in Doomsday. Maybe he pops up towards the end, but he will for sure be in Secret Wars, and hopefully donning the black symbiote suit like the comics. I would love to see that happen for Tom Holland, but I think the future is still bright for Tom Holland. I think the contract that he signed is another trilogy, so we're going to get 2 more Spider-Man movies, I would imagine, in this now Brand New Day trilogy. But I think we're in for a lot more Tom Holland as Peter Parker, and rightfully so, because he's, like I said, he's my favorite. So I'm a little biased, but I think he's fantastic as Peter Parker Spider-Man. Okay, let's get to the categories for today. As always, we're going to go through the iconic scenes. So again, these are scenes that you think of when you hear the title, Spider-Man No Way Home. I almost said Brand New Day there. I'm a little ahead of myself. Okay, so we'll run through all these scenes, and then I'll let you know what I think is the most iconic. So we have Peter fighting Doc Ock on the bridge after he starts to discover that something weird is happening. You get that really cool line where Doc Ock's like, wait, you're not my Peter. He goes, and Tom Holland's really confused, like, what do you mean I'm not your Peter? And that kind of reveals that he is from a different universe. Well, obviously, you know he's from a different universe if you've seen the movies. But it was a really cool fight. Eventually, Peter has his nanotech suit from the Iron Spider that he got from Tony, and it consumes part of Doc Ock's arms, and he's able to control him. And then Green Goblin shows up on the bridge and blows up everything. Peter versus Norman / Aunt May's death. Told you we're going to talk about this one at length. This is such a gut-wrenching scene. So it starts off with Peter realizing that there's something up with Norman, and it gets revealed that Norman isn't home anymore. It is now Gobby coming out. He has that really good line of, I've been watching behind the eyes of Norman, or however he says it. I think it's in one of the favorite quotes here. I've watched you from deep behind Norman's cowardly eyes, struggling to have everything you want, while the world tries... Lost my space here. While the world tries to make you choose, gods don't have to choose, we take. So that moment where Goblin comes out and Norman is no more. Really good. You get that cool fight sequence in the hallway, and then eventually Goblin body slams Peter through the floor into the next floor of the apartment complex. It's such an awesome action sequence. You get that cool scene where Spider-Man's like, it's gonna sound really wrong, but he's got Willem Dafoe's face in his crotch, and he's sitting there, he's punching him in the face, and all Willem Dafoe is doing is laughing. It's such a really, really awesome moment. Like, that is Green Goblin. He is a psychopath. He's taking these punches, and he's just laughing at Peter because he's not strong enough to stop him. And then eventually they get to the bottom level of the apartment complex, and he shoves the glider at Aunt May, and of course piercing her with the blades, and she ultimately dies right in Peter's hand. She has that really good line of, you have a gift, you have power, and with great power there must also come great responsibility. You finally get that line said by Aunt May, which in the previous universes was said by Uncle Ben, but we don't have Uncle Ben in this universe. I wonder if they're going to answer that in Brand New Day on where the heck Uncle Ben is. They do kind of mention it a little bit in this MCU where, you know, after everything, you know, May has been through with Uncle Ben, they kind of touch up on it, but I hope we get a resolution to that on where the heck he is, or we get a flashback on maybe that's in Brand New Day, where we get a flashback finally of Uncle Ben dying in Peter's hands. Like, what was it? Was it Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse, where they have the anchor moments, and the anchor moment seems for Spider-Man seems to be the death of Uncle Ben. So I wonder in Brand New Day if we're gonna get a flashback on that anchor moment. That would have been cool. I hope that happens. Anyways, I digress. So then Aunt May, and so it's, this whole thing is sad. So don't listen to what I'm saying. I'm good up until this point. It's when Happy shows up and he's yelling, "Peter, run." That's when the dust starts to appear in my eyeballs. I wish we would have gotten more with Happy and Aunt May, because it seems like they actually do care about each other. Obviously, Happy Hogan was in love with her, but you know, the Aunt May dying is sad, and it's one of the best moments in Spider-Man movie history is that they actually killed off Aunt May. The only time we've seen that in recent years was in the Spider-Man game where they killed her off. Spoiler if you haven't played the Spider-Man game. But anyways, I'm good up until that point when Happy shows up. And when he rolls up and he sees what's going on, he's like, "Oh no, she's dead." And he just, drop of the hat, he just goes, "Run, Peter, run," because he cares about Peter. He knows what's about to happen. They're going to arrest him for murder. And that's where I break. That's where I, like I said, get that dust in my eye, is when Happy is pinned up against the car by the cops and he's yelling, "Run, Peter, run," because he actually cares about Peter. And it breaks your heart at the end of the movie when they're standing side by side to each other at Aunt May's grave, and Happy has no idea who Peter is, but Peter knows who Happy is. And I think we're going to get that too in Brand New Day, where Peter has to live with the fact that he knows who everybody is, but they have no idea who he is. That's got to be so stressful, and just, it's got to rock your brain to the core. It's just wild to think the emotions that he goes through when he knows everybody, but they have no idea who he is. And that moment with him and Happy at Aunt May's grave just breaks your heart, because it's like, shit, he doesn't know who Peter is, but Peter knows who he is and he loves him. It's a shame. And I hope, like I said, I hope we get more Happy, because he's a great character, and he has such a weird arc through the MCU back from the first Iron Man movie, but it's gut-wrenching when he yells, "Run, Peter, run," because you know deep down he thinks of Peter like a son, you know, and it sucks. MJ and Ned meet Toby and Garfield. This is just iconic in all levels. Like, the theater erupted when Garfield showed up, but then they just lost their fucking minds when Tobey Maguire shows up dressed up like a youth pastor, as Garfield says. But this one was great where they're, Garfield's in his suit, so he's obviously was in the middle of a battle. Peter, immediately puts clothes on so he doesn't want people to know he's Spider-Man. But when they lock eyes with each other, like their spider senses go off and they start shooting webs at each other. It's really cool. It's such an incredible comic book moment when these two guys meet. And then the Spider-Man fight against Electro, Lizard, and Sandman at the Statue of Liberty, which is being constructed to where she's holding Cap's shield, which was an interesting take there. But this is a great fight where they're using the different devices that they made to take away their powers and try to convert them from evil, basically. It's really cool. Then eventually Goblin shows up, and that's where we get that final fight with him versus Peter on the dismantled Cap shield. Brutal fight between the two. Eventually Peter, the three Peters come up with this plan to trick Goblin into taking the serum to eliminate the Goblin and bring Norman back. So that was pretty cool. And then the end of the movie, Spider-Man swinging through New York in his new suit, which was awesome. It's a very shiny suit, but it's very iconic. And now we get to see that comic suit in Brand New Day as well. My most iconic scene in this movie, the one that I think of first, this is tough. It's between Aunt May's death and the three Spider-Men fighting Electro, Lizard, and Sandman, and then eventually Green Goblin. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Aunt May's death. When I hear Spider-Man No Way Home, I think of that scene where Peter is consoling her. She's dying right in front of him. And Happy is pinned up against the car, and he's yelling, "Run, Peter, run." That is the scene I think of the most, or at first when I hear Spider-Man No Way Home. And then right after I think of, oh yeah, that was that awesome fight with the three Spider-Man guys. So I'm going to go with Aunt May's death. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say their most iconic scene is the three Spider-Man fighting. Totally valid. Totally valid. This is the fun part about this movie. Like, there really isn't a bad scene in this movie. It's just from start to finish is incredible. So this is one of the toughest iconic scenes categories that I've done. But I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna go with the Aunt May death. It's just, that is such a pivotal moment, and his whole demeanor changes for the rest of the movie after her death. The let's fucking go moments of Spider-Man No Way Home. This was tough, but I tried to limit it to 3. So you have Doc Ock arriving, realizing this is Alfred Molina. It's like, holy shit, they brought Doc Ock back from Spider-Man 2. Let's freaking go. And then you have Tobey and Garfield arriving, which is like, holy shit. Like I said, the theaters erupted when these two came on screen together. And then Spider-Man wearing the new suit at the end. This has to go to Tobey and Garfield arriving into the movie. Like, that is like the ultimate let's fucking go moment. Like, these guys are probably the poster child for the let's fucking go moment segment now. Like, I know this technically comes from Deadpool and Wolverine with Hugh Jackman saying it, but like, this is the moment where you're just like on adrenaline, ready to go punch through a wall. Like, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield are back as Spider-Man together on the same screen. It's just phenomenal. Favorite quotes. I've already said a couple of these, but I'm going to say them again. Green Goblin, I've watched you from deep behind Norman's cowardly eyes, struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose. Gods don't have to choose, we take. That was my Willem Dafoe impression. Pretty bad. Matt Murdock, I'm a really good lawyer when he catches that brick. That was pretty cool. May Parker, you have a gift. You have power. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. I love the wording of that. It's not your typical, with great power comes great responsibility. They tweaked it a little bit, which I appreciate. We've seen it multiple times already, so it's cool to get a different iteration of it. Norman Osborn, I'm something of a scientist myself. Was an exact quote from the first Spider-Man, so that's pretty cool that they added that in there. Another one from Green Goblin. Can the Spider-Man come out to play? again, pulled straight from the first Spider-Man movie. If you remember that scene with Peter on the phone with Norman, that's what he says when he takes Aunt May. And then Garfield's Peter Parker, you going to go into battle just as a youth pastor, or you got your suit? I just really like the youth pastor line. That was really good. And great delivery by Garfield. I love how they kind of pick on each other, but at the end of the day, they all love each other. They're brothers. It's such a fun chemistry between the three. All right, let's dive into some fun facts. I got quite a bit of them here. To preserve the secrecy of the film's production and to prevent his appearance from being leaked, Willem Dafoe walked around the set with a cloak covering his costume. Tom Holland actually accidentally bumped into Dafoe while cloaked, and this is how the two first met on set. For his appearance in the film, Alfred Molina was digitally de-aged to make him appear as if he had been in Spider-Man 2. And his mechanical arms were created through CGI rather than through puppetry like in the first film, which I do kind of miss. I like the puppetry aspect of it. It made it look a little more real, but I gotta imagine it's got to feel better on Molina's back, not having to hold those things. Tom Holland helped to save this movie from cancellation by forcing renegotiations between Sony and Disney under the terms of the New Deal. Not only does this movie still take place within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but Spider-Man can also appear in future MCU movies, as well as Sony's own Spider-Man franchise, so he can pop up wherever the hell they want. Willem Dafoe insisted that he be allowed to participate in the filming of the action sequences and perform as many stunts as possible as a condition of him reprising the role of Norman Osborn / Green Goblin, believing he could not give a complete performance if the character was filmed separately with CGI and stunt performances. If you remember, he did a lot of his own stunts in the first Spider-Man movie as well. That's kind of what attracted him to the role. So no surprise here that he had that as a condition coming back. And he's great with stunts. Like I've read different articles and interviews on how skilled and talented Dafoe is with stunts. So by all means, make it as authentic as you want, Dafoe. After encountering characters from the multiverse, Ned wonders if there is another Ned out there. Actually, in the comics, Ned Leeds is a Daily Bugle reporter who is brainwashed into becoming the Hobgoblin. So that is one of the other theories in future Spider-Man films. If Ned going to turn into Hobgoblin and be the villain on one of these Tom Holland movies? I guess we'll see. Due to a pending sexual harassment lawsuit from October 3rd, 2019 to June 30th, 2021, James Franco was unavailable to reprise Harry Osborn as one of the villains from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, along with his character's father, Norman Osborn. The original plan of the film was to be the first adaptation to feature a team that is a homage to the Sinister Six, with the New Goblin being the sixth member. So if you remember, New Goblin was Harry Osborn's alter ego villain in Spider-Man 3 after, the death of his father and trying to kill Peter. This would have been pretty messy, I think, if they would have brought James Franco back on the same screen as Norman. If you haven't caught up with any of the James Franco stuff, the lawsuit and everything is pretty ugly. I think he's got a couple projects coming up, so he is trying to dip back into acting. But I think with the time of this movie, it was probably best if they didn't include him. Plus, it would have been way too many characters to juggle. I like the Sinister Six version of this, but I think it would have been too much to include Franco, because you already have Otto, Sandman, and Goblin from the Raimi universe. Like, adding a fourth person from the one universe, I get it. There's 3 movies versus Garfield's 2 movies, but still, there would have been too much, I think. I like the idea, though. It's a neat idea. If things were different, it probably could have worked, but James Franco at the time, and still kind of is now, he's kind of like kryptonite right now. Nobody really wants to touch him. Plans were in place to bring back Kirsten Dunst as MJ and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, along with Rosemary Harris and Sally Field as Aunt May. Unfortunately, the plan fell through due to the COVID-19 pandemic and Stone's pregnancy at the time of the shooting. Thank God, because like I said, that would have been too many characters. Now I get it. We're on the verge of Secret Wars, so the Russo brothers have their work cut out for them. But for a solo Spider-Man movie, that would have been too much. And with Emma Stone's death, I think it would have not necessarily tainted it, but it's like, I like how they did it in here, where they had Garfield explain he got bitter, he got violent because of that death. Bringing back Emma on screen with Garfield, I think would have been too much. But I think the way they probably would have did it was at a point in that movie where she was alive. Like, it's just too many characters. Despite being in the film, J.K. Simmons never met Tom Holland, which is crazy to think. But he never did. Tom Holland was paid $10 million, 40 times his salary, for Captain America Civil War back in 2016, which is his first appearance as Peter Parker Spider-Man. 11 different visual effects companies provided the visual effects for this film. In total, the film has 2,500 VFX shots, most of which are the action sequences, obviously. And then Tom Holland revealed that one of the 3 Spider-Men had a fake ass in their suit, but did not specify which one. That's a good... I wonder who had the fake ass. Maguire? No. Garfield? I wonder if it was Tom Holland himself that had the fake ass. Write in the comments below if you have a guess on who the fake ass was, because I'm curious to see. I wonder if it was Tom Holland. You know, the fact that he's the one that mentioned it makes me think that he was the one with the fake ass. But hey, I'm curious to see what you guys think and why. That's what I'm going to stick with. I'm going to stick with Tom Holland because he's the one that mentioned it. He seems like the kind of guy that would mention it if it was him. So, but that's a really funny fact. But yeah, so Spider-Man No Way Home, as you can tell, absolutely love this film. It's fantastic. It's one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie. It's my favorite MCU movie. Again, touching on the MCU ranking here, but it's fantastic. The Spider-Man movies are turning into an event for my family now, because ever since the first Tobey Maguire movie, my whole family has gone to all of these Spider-Man together, including my mother. My mother isn't big on comic book movies, but if she knows Spider-Man will be in it, she will go see it. Like, she absolutely loves this movie. And Spider-Man's the only reason why she went to Avengers Infinity War. So if you can get my mom to a comic book movie, you succeeded in making a masterpiece. This movie is incredible. I absolutely love it. I can't see anything bad with it, to be honest. It could have been bad based on these fun facts. Like, that would have been too many people, even for a movie that I absolutely love. They found the right amount of characters to input this in here, while also making sure everyone has the appropriate screen time. I don't think anybody's on screen for too long. It would have been great if they would have gotten Connors and Sandman actually on set. But I think with them using the archive footage, it worked out. You know, you can tell that that's a scene from Spider-Man 3, but it's not like egregious. So I get it, scheduling and things like that, but it would have been neat to get those 2 actors physically on set. They probably could have did a lot more, and it would have been even cooler if they did, but I think they found a good workaround. So let's wrap things up like I always do with the rankings, with the MCU ranking, the villain scale, and the popcorn rating. All right, so first up, we got the MCU ranking. I already spoiled it, but Spider-Man No Way Home comes in at number 1. Previously, Deadpool and Wolverine was number 1, but after watching this is, with a bullet, number 1 for me. So at number 1, I got Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 3, Avengers Infinity War. 4, Avengers Endgame. 5, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 6, Captain America The Winter Soldier. 7, Captain America Civil War. 8, Spider-Man Far From Home. 9, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And at number 10, Daredevil Born Again. I I love this movie. It's got romance, it's got comedy, it's got action. It's my favorite superhero, so I'm a little biased. Spider-Man. Tom Holland's perfect in here. You get to relive our childhood through all these Spider-Man villains and Spider-Man movies. Now, Raimi's trilogy and Mark Webb's 2 amazing Spider-Man movies are now a part of the MCU. So we can include them in there. It's awesome. Absolutely love this movie. It's awesome music. The visual effects, there's a lot of them, but they did a really good job on it. I love the scene where after the death of May, Spider-Man's standing on top of the building. He's got his face mask in his hand. It's downpouring. You get the giant screen of J.K. Simmons on there talking about how Spider-Man did all these horrendous things. And it's just tiny little Peter looking up at the screen. It's such an incredible shot. I love it. It's one of the best shots in all of Spider-Man lore, all of the MCU. I love that shot of Peter looking at the giant digital billboard screen with a giant J.K. Simmons on there talking shit about Spider-Man. It's so good. There's so many good shots in here. I absolutely love it. Love all the costumes. It's awesome. So this is number 1 for me in the MCU, Spider-Man No Way Home. Villain scale, like I said, Norman Osborn, aka Green Goblin, is the main villain. I know a lot of the villains from the different universes come in here and team up against the Spider-Man, but Norman is the main villain in here. And I'm giving him 5 Thanos heads because he's freaking awesome. Again, villain scale, we look at the motivation, we look at the costume, we look at the performance by the actor. Willem Dafoe killed it. You know, the fact that he did his own stunts, that scene with him fighting Peter in the apartment complex is incredible. Riding around in his glider again in the iconic suit from the first movie, and then changing it a little bit as he ditches the helmet and wears the hood and the goggles. I love his outfit in there. And the motivation, he's a Green Goblin. Does he need the motivation? You know, he wants to be the apex predator. He wants to be the smartest, strongest guy in the world, and he's just evil. Like, it's the serum, obviously. But it's fantastic. I love it. So 5 Thanos heads for Willem Dafoe's return as Norman Osborn, a.k.a. Green Goblin. And then the popcorn rating. You could probably guess where I'm going here. It's the golden popcorn. This is the picture poster child for a golden tier comic book movie. It's got everything, like I said. Romance. It's got an emotional depth. It's got living your childhood. It's got action sequences. It's got awesome costumes, awesome music. Visuals are awesome. It's a perfect movie. I love it. I love how they intertwined all these storylines. I love how they brought everyone's childhood back together. This is a movie for everybody, whether you're a fan of Tobey, fan of Garfield, or a fan of Holland. Like, this movie is for every kind of Spider-Man fan out there. Unfortunately, if you're a Miles Morales fan, you're not getting much in here, except for they mentioned, they get that line from Jamie Foxx, I was just hoping you were black. And Garfield's like, oh, I'm sorry, Max. Well, I'm sure there's a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. Wink, wink to Miles Morales. So I guess there's a tiny bit for Miles Morales. But this is a perfect comic book movie. Absolutely love it. So it's got the golden popcorn status. Well, that is going to do it for the number 1 movie in the MCU, Spider-Man No Way Home. What do we got next time? Let me look at the order here. We're going to jump into Moon Knight. So we're going back to the Disney Plus shows with Moon Knight, which I haven't seen since it came out. So this is going to be really fun to reminisce on that one. Then we'll go through Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, which will be a rewatch. We did that as one of the first new releases on the podcast back when it started. Then we'll dive into another TV show with Ms. Marvel and Thor: Love and Thunder, She-Hulk. We got a lot of projects to cover here, but the next time will be Moon Knight. Super excited for that. We'll see if my feelings for the show change. I wasn't too high on it when it came out. I do really like Oscar Isaac's performance in there. He did a really good job at the different versions of his character. But so Moon Knight will be next week. A bunch of other episodes coming out. We've got scary story of the universe coming out tomorrow. With the Toy Story 5 released already. So we have our massive triple feature episode coming out tomorrow. probably later in the day so that I can record it and edit and get that all to you, because I won't be seeing Toy Story 5 until tomorrow, actually. So I'll race to get that episode out there. We're going to do a Spider-Man event. Now that we're talking about Spider-Man, we're going to do a Spider-Man event leading up to Spider-Man Brand New Day. So we're going to do Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, and then we'll jump into the Garfield ones and do separate episodes for those. Like I said, we previously did episodes just on the actors and kind of lumped all the movies together. Well, each movie is now going to get its own review episode, so it's going to be really, really fun. We have the Top Gun double feature coming out on July 4th, and then, of course, the Spider-Man Brand New Day new release review episode will be coming out when that movie premieres on July 31st. So a lot of content coming out. Check out all the other episodes that I've done so far for the MCU and other review episodes. Check out the website, set up a profile so you can rate Spider-Man No Way Home with the popcorn rating on there. You can rank it with the MCU. A lot of stuff to do on the website. So much fun. I'm constantly updating it. I'll add all the new stuff for the new No Way Home for that page on the website, so you can check all that. So with that, have a good weekend. Enjoy the Father's Day for all the fathers out there. And we will see you all next time on the show.